Hello and welcome back to the gaming channel. Thought I'd just do an update on the At Legends pinball machine. I've had it since Easter time now, so over a month. So just basically a bit of an update on how it's going with the table and what I think about it. I did install the button for the backboard and cables. I got two 5-meter HDMI cables which I connected to my PC, which I had to move to get it a bit closer. The 5-meter cables did reach, but the 5-meter USB cable was a bit of an issue. I was having problems with that just from the PC to the pinball machine, connecting that. So I ended up buying, I don't know if you can see it down there, a hub, powered hub, USB hub. So I've now connected that to the pinball table, and I've got a 3-meter USB cable, so hopefully that will sort issues out. I did struggle to get the PC part of it working, Pinball Arcade off my PC. It does work now, I'll show you that in a bit. Problem is I've got one HDMI, one display port and one DVI, or two DVI connectors I think it is, on the back of my PC. And the only thing is you've got to unplug your monitors and plug in the two HDMI cables when you want to play pinball games from the PC on the pinball machine. I did use Joy-to-Key, managed to map out the buttons so they were all working. I was struggling to get the back display working. Don't know what the issue was with that. I think possibly those ribbon cables on the VIBs board weren't properly plugged in, because I took the thing out, plugged them back in, fiddled around with that, and I changed the resolution. The zoom was on 150% for my second screen on the PC for some reason. Changed that to 100. Fiddled around with it a bit more and it decided to work then. I also decided to get myself a cordless keyboard with a mouse pad, so that I can sort out the settings and so on when my PC is connected, which is very handy, because to be trying to operate the mouse there and look at this screen here, almost impossible. So looks like I've pretty much got that sorted with the PC. So basically the tables that came with it obviously are still on there, and then I bought some extra tables, a Taito pack and a couple of the Zakaria packs, which are pretty good. I like the fact that you can compete against other players, online scores, etc. So that's pretty good. So for the PC part of it as well, while I think about it, I installed the button underneath to switch the back display over. There is a button on the board I noticed as well to do that, but awkward to reach, and had to go into turtle mode to move the pinball machine into the corner. This old one I think is going to become obsolete now, because I can now play the PC Pinball FX2, Pinball FX3, Pinball Arcade. They should all be working on there. I've set all three of those up within Joy-to-Key, so, and you can save the profile on there. One thing that I did notice about this, the nudge buttons on the side, they're a little bit too high up, they're too close to your flipper buttons, which are the red ones. And I'm finding that by mistake I keep pressing with my big hands the nudge buttons when I don't need to, and sometimes it messes up my game. So if I were to design this machine or whatever, I would do it like I did with this pinball box and put them, the nudge buttons lower down, pinball, nudge, or flipper, nudge I mean. Overall pretty pleased with the machine. For the different tables, there's slightly different buttons to press to get into them, like to add players and so on. For the original ones, I think add players is that button, and for the Zakaria games it's that one. And the other thing I did notice is slight different volume levels between the tables. Like for the original tables, I have to turn the volume down to about 50 as an acceptable level for me. Zakaria and Taito ones, I've got to turn it up to about 60. And you can also adjust settings per table on this as well. So that's pretty much all the tables there. You can just use, I think, the flipper buttons to go page by page. Yep. I think I've got in total about 47 tables on there. So I've been enjoying playing them. And yeah, like I say, online scoring, so I've managed to get into the top 10 on one of them. 10th in the world, that's not bad. ArcadeNet, I'm not too sure what that's about, not connected to the internet. Well, it should be. I've got Wi-Fi. I'm logged into my account, so I'm not sure what the story is with that. They've got this lobby option on here as well, although I've noticed there's nobody on here. So I haven't really looked into the lobby part of it. You can create a game and so on that. If I go into that, press start, right. Not sure what goes on with this lobby thing. That's a new option they added with the recent update. I'm not able to select anything on there at the moment for some reason, don't know why. So that has just killed the machine by the looks of it. I was just looking at the time settings within the settings menu and realized that I had it set to PT, which is Pacific time, and that's why my clock kept changing all the time every time I turned it on. The update from internet part doesn't seem to work on that. The other thing, while I'm waiting for this, I'll talk about other things. The sort of logo on the top glass there, oh there, it's come back alive again. Unable to connect to required services. Check your network connectivity. Maybe my region is not supported, I don't know. Oh, it is in the lobby now. I was going to say about the back glass, other people have complained about the reflection of that logo on the playing field, but probably because I'm a bit taller than the average person, it only sort of appears somewhere there. I don't find that too much of a problem. I don't notice it, to be honest. You can, there's just a strip of LED lights in the back box, in the top part of it. You can just put something over them or put something over this logo to make it darker, like some cardboard or something, or even disconnect the lights. I'm sure they won't be difficult to disconnect. They must be just plugged into a board or something for power. So I haven't found that to be an issue. Yeah, this lobby, I'm not sure what goes on with that. I did get into it. It looks like there are players on there though. There's like 235 players in each one. So not sure what goes on with that. I'll have to look into that more. Maybe to a bit more detail on a future video. So bring your own games. I have done so. Got my pen drive in there in the USB slot. We'll go into that now. Got it in a folder called Arcade, and there they all are. I've got about 750 odd games on here, I think. Coin ops. You can also use the flipper buttons just to page through all them. what I did find particularly good on this was the bowling. You can use the tracker ball to throw the ball. That works quite well. Then you've got the App Store. Those are the packs that I've got installed on there, including CoinOps that you have to put on there to get that working. And you've got all your settings: Wi-Fi, wireless pairing, wireless control deck, OTG mode, arcade play link. That's for Bluetooth controllers you can use on here. Your HDMI settings. So that's how you get into, this is where you go to switch it over to the PC. Server locations, I haven't really bothered with that. You can just test the thing to see if it's how the connectivity is or whatever. And account settings, digital locker, that's where all your downloads are and where you redeem your codes. So if you go to redeemed codes, it should give you all the game packs that you have purchased. Not seeing anything on there at the moment, so I'm not sure what goes on with that, but that's where you put your codes in. I advise to purchase them on your account on the PC, and once they email you the code, go into your digital locker, put the code in there. It works fine. Don't try and purchase games from the machine, because I've heard people have had a lot of hassle with that. I haven't tried it myself, but I have heard people have had a lot of problems with that. Privacy policy, that's version 5.68.0, that's the latest version, so that's, you can check there for updates. Device information, health check, flash drive, data manager, upload system log, game pack. What else have we got here? UI preference, attract mode. I turned that on. Basically with that you can get it to do like a demo of like the arcade games, for instance. So you can set that up on this screen. So after it's been idle for 5 minutes, it comes up with demos of different games and so on. I did turn the volume off on there, I muted it because I was busy doing something else, and in the background suddenly I had all this noise from the arcade games coming on. So that's your attract mode. Hopefully we're in camera shot here. Parental controls, I'm not bothered about that. Startup page, clock, just basically to set your clock. Settings lock. Pinball settings. You can just set things like your master volume, FX volume, music volume. I've got that turned down because I was getting a lot of bass, and this plate here was vibrating too much. But you can now control the volume from those controls there. The back speakers and front speakers, you've got separate controls in there now. Display mode, cabinet, flipper mode, combined, I'm not sure what that's all about. Flippers inverted, pro button mode, side. Back box style, full. Sometimes when that's full I found it stretched out. But within individual tables you can go in there and set the back box so that it's more square and the scores are not so stretched out on there. Leaderboard back glass display. That can be interesting to have that set to on. It shows you the top 5, I think. But it kind of overwrites other stuff on the screen, so I left that off for now. So yeah, that's a basic sort of overview of the menus on there. They've got a live streaming option. I'm not sure how that works. Voice chat, so I'm assuming you can plug in a headset somewhere on the machine. Not sure exactly how that all works. Not inclined to use that, but interesting that it's there. So that's pretty much the menus on the machine and the tables that I've got on it. Yeah, there's also Arcade Net. I just remembered there's 5 free arcade games on there. I don't know why that's not showing up on there. It comes with 5 free arcade games, which are normally shown. The icons should appear on the screen. Don't know what's happened with those. For some reason they've disappeared. Yep, like I said, the lobby, not sure what goes on there. I haven't been able to get into any games or anything like that. Settings, I've gone through all those pretty much. And the OTG mode for HDMI, all that sort of thing. Basically my observations then on this. Just got a few notes I wrote on the side to remind me what I was going to talk about. I find with the multiplayer scoring it's easier to follow, especially like if you do 2-player on a game. Normally if you do 1-player, the score sort of revolves around to 0, and then you don't know exactly where you are after it's gone around 200,000, 200,000 or whatever. But with 2-player the score is actually shown. I'll actually show you now. Aerobatics, this is one of the Zakaria packs. Also you can scan that barcode to get the leaderboard. So that's all the world rankings. So that's interesting. I don't know why, but it doesn't want to cooperate today. For some reason it doesn't want to do anything. Don't know what I've done to it. It was working last night. Pressing some buttons here, but nothing. Network access is disabled. So we've got a problem with the network by the looks of things. It should be on a static IP address. I did set it in my router as a static IP. Don't know why I've got no network. My network was working on the PC earlier. So I'm going to have to investigate what is going on with that. Can't show you any of the tables at the moment. Okay, I'll have to look into that. Like I was saying, the back box style settings you can set within each table to avoid having stretched out back box scores and so on. I found that it looks pretty good with Pinball Arcade running off the PC. The only thing I was getting like sparkly, tiny sparkly dots on the screen. That could have been down to the USB cable. I'll find out when I test that out now. Error launching game, operation cancelled. I don't know what's going on with this machine. Loading. Oh, now it's loaded. I don't know why, it's just being awkward today. So there, the back box is quite square, and within the actual settings you can just go into settings. Even in mid-game you can go into your settings for each game. Toggle flipper mode, back box style. So your back box style is set to full. On this one it's not a problem. Or best fit, that stretches it out. Stretch, which looks terrible I think, especially with the scores on there. And default full. Display mode, default cabinet. Reset settings, reset default, reset scores, reset goals. You can set your haptic strength on here. So you can put it to high, off, very low, low or medium. I normally leave it on medium. Seems to work alright on there. Accelerometer. That's been configured. Sensitivity you can set on that. I didn't want to mess around too much with that. But yeah, you can go plus and minus for that. You can fiddle around with the settings per table. So that's nice because you can customize it to however sensitive that particular pinball table is. So that's some of the table settings on there. Yeah, like I say, the front speakers, I was getting a lot of vibration, but I think I explained this before. If you just press the channel button, volume, then channel, that's the speakers at the back of the machine, and these are the front. So you can just set and then just switch with the channel button and set the front speakers. So that's handy. That's a feature that's been recently added with the update. I find the manual shaking and nudging works quite well with this machine. I don't really need these buttons on the side. I only need them if I'm playing games off the PC, because you don't have that feedback on there. So then I do need the nudge buttons you can set. I've got the front one, I normally use my knee to nudge it there, or the side nudge buttons. So handy for that. I do find sometimes when I'm standing against the machine, I tend to press against it with my leg, accidentally press these buttons, being quite tall. But otherwise it seems to work quite well. Plunger works good. See if we can get a game started on here. So select players. No, not that one. It's the rewind button for the original tables, whereas it's the A button for the Zakaria tables, and I think the Taito ones are like that as well. For both, that's the start button. So the plunger, you can sort of pull it back halfway, all the way. It's reasonably responsive, and I found there's hardly any lag on this. Just turn that, just pause that to turn off the noise. Otherwise, just now I'm going to get into trouble with YouTube for music. You know what they like. Yeah, the only thing I find is sometimes with some tables the ball on its own just goes like halfway up here before you've even touched anything, and then it comes back down before you've started playing. And there's a little bit of lag in the first 3 or 4 seconds when the ball's rolling around at the top there. It sort of slows down a bit, but after that seems fine. I haven't had any other lag issues or anything like that with it. The logo, I've mentioned that, at Legend logo. Table height I find is pretty good for me. I'm quite a tall person. That was one thing that was worrying me. To put the legs up, they go up by about an inch. There's bits on the bottom. But no, I find it's pretty good. It's about the height of an average pinball table, I would say. Just not quite as wide. That's the only thing I find, is the wrists get a bit cramped after a while being in that position. Whereas with a wider table it may not be as bad, I'm not sure. But otherwise, no, it's quite fine height-wise and so on. Like I say, the leaderboards, that's quite interesting. You can't see them on this particular table. Let me just come out of this one. I'll have a look at one of the other ones. Let's see if we can get into one of the Zakaria tables. I don't know why this thing is being awkward today. It's just like these Zakaria tables are not playable. I can only get into the original ones today. I don't know what's going on with that. What I do find handy with some of the tables is that the multiplayer catch-up is nice. Like if you're playing multiplayer and you hit certain targets or whatever, it catches you up to the next player, to their score. Not to the top player, but to the next one. Yeah, like I say, the general gameplay is smooth. There's no noticeable lag. Just some tables, like I said, there's a slight lag on the first ball when you launch it. I'm going to have to find out what's going on with these Zakaria tables. They just not cooperating today. Haven't had a problem with them so far, so I don't know what goes on with that. Going to have to look into that. Maybe just try turning the machine off and turn it back on again and see what happens. But yeah, I think overall I'm quite pleased with the machine. It's, I think, money well spent. I've used it every day so far since I've had it, apart from when I was away on my holiday. They're saying network access is disabled. Not sure what that is all about. So yeah, I wonder if the Taito tables are the same. Let's have a look at one of the Taito tables and see. Caveman, that's one of them. See if that's doing the same thing. Looks like that's also died on me, so it's only the original tables that were on there that are working at the moment. May have to do the old IT fix, which works for 90% of things. I don't really like turning the thing off when it's in the middle of something, but right. There's no way to shut this down, you just turn it off basically. Turn it back on again and see what happens this time. It takes a little while to boot up. I just wanted to see whether I can get to the leaderboards on one of those. They do love their Legends Pinball logo, I'll give them that. It appears 3 times on there. They could have made the display on the back a bit bigger instead of having that on there. But you know, it does the trick. Right, we have got internet connection. Let's try this again. Don't know whether this is due to server issues or what. Just not working on these. What I'll do in the next part of the video, I will hook up the PC. I may do a separate video on that just to show you that bit working. Hopefully it will work, because sod's law, these things work once and stop working. So yeah, I don't know why this is not working. So I'm going to cut the video for now, and I'll do the next bit on the PC when that's connected. Well, when I'm going to connect the PC up.